Ando was at the morning meeting, along with another staff member. He introduced himself as Gare, the lead engineer for program settings. The update had finished without trouble. The visuals were more stable now, and several new options had been added. We moved to the equipment room. Gare loaded a few existing programs and checked their behavior in a calm, steady way. He asked several technical questions. I answered while looking through the manual. Afterward, we returned to the office and spoke briefly about maintenance schedules and licensing. As I had planned since yesterday, I suggested a hardware upgrade. Ando gave a practiced answer. We'll review it internally. When the discussion settled, Ando spoke again, more slowly. There's something I'd like to ask. It's about an acquaintance who owns a virtual room. Who is it? To my knowledge, no one else on this planet had such a system. Schultz, he said. I call him Jay. I searched the terminal. There were too many matches. After narrowing the location to Santiago brought up no results. It may be registered under a company or a different address, Ando said, nodding. He owns this space, actually. Also 2 floors in the lower levels, his home and his company. It isn't exactly work he wants, more that he'd like someone to listen. If you're available, would you meet him? I didn't fully understand, but there was no reason to refuse. I said I'd need to confirm with my company, and Ando seemed relieved. Thank you. He'd like to meet this afternoon or evening. I'll tell you once I know the time. I would have to abandon my return flight, change my hotel reservation, send my clothes to be cleaned. Back in my room, I reported the situation to my supervisor and the regional manager. Their reply came an hour later. 20 years ago, when virtual systems were still new, Schultz had purchased a pilot version. The contract was old. It no longer appeared in the current database. He ran several businesses and kept a marine ecology lab on this planet. The virtual room was registered as one of its assets. The reason for the meeting was still unclear. My supervisor said lightly, "Listen carefully, and if possible, promote the latest model." It wasn't supposed to be my job, but I didn't argue. Soon after, a message arrived from Ando. Schultz wanted to meet at 7 in the evening. I agreed. My remaining work finished quickly, leaving me with an unexpected stretch of time. I thought about writing work reports, but the sea outside the window softened my will to work. Rest in the room, or go out and see something. In the end, I booked a small aircraft tour over Santiago. I changed into a white shirt and beige pants and left the room. The meeting point was a garage-like deck about 10 floors above the hotel. 10 people were already waiting, families, groups. I was the only one alone. The aircraft had a transparent upper half. You could see the sky. The craft lifted away from the building and rose quietly, shrinking the tower beneath us. Endless sea. Soon a smudge of brown and green appeared land, I thought. It was only a cluster of tiny islands and rocks. Aside from birds, there was little life. Once, the pilot descended for a large school of fish. Otherwise, we flew over blue silence. When I returned to my room, more information had arrived. One of Schultz's companies had once developed imaging technology and had ties to my company. The pilot system had been given to him almost free after testing. Updates were applied remotely. Engineers had never met him in person. I didn't know why he wanted to meet now, but there was no choice. If action was needed, I would bring it back for review. Schultz's laboratory was in the low levels near the seafloor. A robot greeted me at the entrance and led me to a lounge. History of the lab played across the table's surface, showing a small probe drifted through deep water. Then a tall, white-haired man entered. Director Schultz. He wore something like sportswear. "It's an honor to meet you," I said. He smiled gently. "The system is quite old," he said. Ideally, we'd replace everything, but we customized it to fit this place. It still works fine. If nothing was wrong, why had he called me? As if hearing the question, he said, "It's easier to show you. It's on the lower floor." We took a private elevator. Through a glass-walled office, a few staff worked in quiet. Farther in, a woman greeted us. Schultz asked her, "Can we move the ship?" Ship? A vessel? Before I could ask, a wall opened onto a plain corridor. Cold air drifted out. "The virtual room is ahead?" I asked. "Yes. It was installed after the tower was built, so the layout is unusual." Yellow doors appeared along the corridor, each opened by pressing a lever. The last door led to a space like the living room of a large hotel suite. A sofa, a low table, a small kitchen. Beyond the translucent wall, the sea swayed. Schultz handed me goggles and a wristband and began the setup. The room warmed slightly. The outside view shifted. "This is also a submarine," he said. "We can't stay down long." I wondered why he hadn't said that earlier. He seemed to notice. "Don't worry. We don't go very far. Why use virtual functions in a submarine? It may allow a different kind of experience. Hard to explain in words." He straightened his posture. "There's a rare species in these waters. Large, almost like a mammal. We captured one 2 years ago and learned a few things." The underwater scenery drifted past fish, faint lights, scattered shapes. I wondered how deep we were. An alarm sounded. Schultz tapped the panel. "We're close. You'll see it soon. Please put on the goggles." I did. The virtual system didn't start. Instead, the ocean outside came into sharper focus. Fish of many shapes and colors. Plants. Specks of light. The world outside thickened with life. I saw which creature he meant immediately. Massive, yet strangely beautiful. Bright stripes like a tropical fish. Eyes glowing blue. Bubbles rising from its gills. Is it dangerous? No. If anything, they're the ones wary of us. The creature approached and hovered before the window. The gravity seemed to shift slightly. Gold particles drifted through the water, or so I thought. Until I realized they were threads of light released from its body. The light passed through the glass and touched our heads. A soft membrane settled over my awareness. Time slowed. A keyboard. A faint melody. My small hands. A teacher nodding as I closed my eyes. Another landscape rose, layered over the cabin. A memory, perhaps. I tried walking toward the teacher, but the distance didn't close. It wasn't like virtual space. Under normal settings, you could touch things. I stared at the keys. The melody grew clearer. The present room faded. I blinked and returned my focus to the cabin. Schultz was beside me, his head covered in tiny lights. Hands moving in empty space as if feeling something far away. Another scene appeared. Outside. The smell of rain. A child in a red raincoat. A path to school. A turn leading to the tree-lined road to the station. A cafe with an old blue sign. I lifted my hand. The chill of the rain touched it. I looked up. Rain seemed to strike my face, and I closed my eyes. Then the scene shifted again. Light through a window. A round wooden table. A white mug. Coffee, probably. A man's hand, large and rough at the knuckles, lifted the cup. Maharu turned his gaze toward me. He set the cup down and offered me a faint smile. The room I once lived in the morning we last saw each other. I felt the texture of his shirt at my fingertips, and the scene vanished. "How was it?" Schultz asked. His voice pulled me back. I realized I hadn't been breathing and exhaled slowly, taking off the goggles. The creature was gone from the window. "It was nothing like the virtual systems I know," I said. The neural response was clear. he said. You experienced it. There are people who don't experience it, and it's connected to that creature. Yes, and only a few can. Schultz nodded quietly. We'll be back at the tower soon. You probably have questions. I'll answer them once we arrive.